Hallo allemaal en welkom bij Dutch & Go. Today I want to talk to you about how to help your partner best or your best friend best if he or she is studying Dutch or for that matter any other language and you're the native speaker of his or her target language. I'm going to do this video in English because it might be useful for both of you together, and I'm going to give some tips on things that you can do together as well. So first of all, if you want to talk with them in Dutch as they're learning it, don't be afraid to just speak Dutch at your natural pace. Yeah, maybe try not to make the most complex of sentences or utter the most complex of ideas, maybe not. But on the other hand, do try to speak naturally. We really don't want any kind of like unnatural sounding Dutch. Just speak at your own natural pace. If your partner, best friend, whatever, has problems understanding you, he can always ask you, kan je dat herhalen? Wat zeg je? Ik begrijp het niet. Kan je langzamer spreken? And then you can adjust accordingly. But always just speak in a more or less natural pace for you. Don't make it sound too artificially slow. Okay? Good. Also that way the student can adapt themselves so much more automatically and so much better to the way that Dutch sounds when you speak it naturally. Good. The second tip is make exercises together. So if your partner or whatever is learning Dutch, then he or she will also have received some exercise, I'm sure, from the teacher, or is doing exercise from the book that he or she is using. You could do exercise together if the student has the solutions. Then it's a good idea to let the student do some exercises orally, okay? And you hold the solutions in your hand. The student will do the exercise and then you can correct him or her. Just some things on corrections here, and that's quite important. Don't just start correcting sentences immediately. Just say niet correct or wrong or like structuur. Give him or her an indication of where the mistake could be, and then let the student figure it out for himself or herself where the mistake could be. Okay, don't just start immediately correcting it. Let him or her figure it out himself. That's so much more educationally valuable and so much more helpful as well. Third thing that you could do, and this is an activity that you could do together, if you go shopping together or if you go to the supermarket together, then you can also make a grocery list or a shopping list together. You could do it first in whatever working language that you have between the two of you, and then do it also the same list again in Dutch. Eventually, you can phase out the working language whenever making a shopping list and do it only in Dutch. That's quite a good tip, and that's something that you can easily do together. Also, when you, for example, are at the supermarket, just walk through the supermarket, and if you have some time, maybe you can point out to certain objects, certain things, or vegetables, fruits, whatever, and just let the other person guess what that is in Dutch, or explain it to them what that is in Dutch. That's quite a good exercise and quite a fun way to practice Dutch as well, and believe me, it makes the whole process of going to the supermarket so much less boring. Yeah. Number 4 is you could always snap the student out of the thing that you're doing and just ask him or her, just out of the blue, hey, wat doen wij nu? What are we doing right now? And then he or she has to formulate what they are doing at that moment, or what you guys are doing together at that moment in Dutch. It's just a very brief, simple way of just forcing the other person to think in Dutch for just a moment. Our brain is basically a muscle, and switching between different languages is as important as training the individual languages that we have to speak, okay? And with that exercise, your brain is just forced to stretch that muscle, that Dutch muscle, for even a brief amount of time and to just speak in Dutch. Right. Final tip is watch movies, documentaries, and things like that together. I think that's a very fun activity to do when you're a couple, when you're friends, whatever. All of those are good activities to do. Maybe you know something yourself as well that you would maybe recommend to your friend or your partner. That is all cool. Just maybe as a tip, if your partner still has A1, A2 level Dutch, just make sure that there's some visual correspondence here between the video. So for example, that they're talking about things that you can immediately see. So avoid soaps, thrillers, detectives, where it's just a lot of people talking about things that have happened, will happen to people that are not in the room. It's a little bit vague and it could be difficult to understand. So just maybe go for things that have visual correspondency. So like travel documentaries, cooking shows, YouTube videos about workouts, whatever you find interesting, whatever your partner finds interesting, nature documentaries, all of that is fantastic Dutch material because of the visual correspondency. Or if you're really into Dutch music, then why not show him or her your favorite band and just listen to some music together as well if you like to do that. And I think that would be also really super helpful and just a fun way of going about and practicing Dutch together as well. And then tip number 6, make it about specific occasions or specific contexts where you speak Dutch. So for example, have a day in a week where you speak Dutch only. That you can do only if your partner is already at more or less at an advanced level, so B1, B2. From that point onwards, that will be very useful. Also, specific context. So for example, whenever we go to the grocery store, we only talk Dutch. Or whenever we're having a coffee together, we only talk Dutch. Whenever we do specific activity together, that's when we only talk Dutch. You could even have your WhatsApp or whatever conversations that you have digitally via Facebook, whatever medium you use, do that only in Dutch. That could also be a super good exercise. Just have some specific context where you would only speak Dutch. So, there you go. These are my 6 tips on how to help your spouse, your partner with Dutch, if you're a native Dutch speaker yourself as well. I hope you thought this video was useful. Dank je voor het kijken. Please subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. I always upload new videos every week related to Dutch material, Dutch grammar, Dutch exercises, everything that you need to improve your Dutch and just get better. Dank je voor het kijken en tot de volgende keer. Dag!